Hello， 各位亲爱的观众朋友们，大家好，我是你们的大白。那么咱们今天呢继续来玩这个 SCP 收容档案。今天咱们要来管理的 SCP 呢是 SCP-660啊，这是一个还是日常工作啊，把红色下划线的部分拖拽到文本上，然后开始归档、提交。没有了吗？还有 save。这个时候开始就是一些日常工作了嘛。刚才是660，这个是143。咱们目前接触的 SCP 都是一些安全 safe 级别的呀，收容难度较低呀。毕竟也是咱只是档案管理员嘛。所以3.55了，3.55是要干什么？根特你不来吗？算了吧，那不适合我。所以你们在说什么？嘿，卡尔，我们正打算要参加月度讲座。基金会每个月都会邀请一些知名人士举办一个分享性质的讲座，聊一些 SCP 有关的知识和经验。今天来分享的是特雷弗博士，他在基金会里人气颇高。OK， 那我们一起去吧。我把月度讲座的链接推给你，你稍等啊。应该是这个吧。我记得咱们最开始的接触的第一个SCP 好像就是特雷弗的吧？特雷弗教的。
Some are read widely all over the world. Some are hidden in dust and known only by a handful of people. Today I'm going to tell you a story no one else has heard before. A real story of mystery and wonder and adventure. And then you too will become the guardian of this story. The story takes place in a world of long ago. The hero of our story is a little boy. His name is Daniel. One day, out of nowhere, Daniel got a serious case of chickenpox. It made him look like a strawberry. To make sure he didn't spread it to others, Mrs. Page, the principal, had him isolate in an attic. And so, in the attic he lived, all on his own.
Mr. Daniel, while up here in this attic, you'll have plenty of time to practice your penny whistle. I hope you practice well and prepare for next month's art festival.
But Mrs. Page, the melody is so difficult.
Don't give up, boy. You don't give up before you fight.
Never gonna give you up. 这个 SCP 风格就变了吗？
Daniel was reluctant at first.
看来这个游戏的 SCP 风格不统一啊。
And he knew he should
不过
listen.
挺好，
And so he practiced the penny
每个
whistle.
SCP 都是独特的，非常不错。ASDF 的空格。A。这是怎么成音游了？提前摁，
Suddenly, he heard some strange noises in the corner of the
没
attic.
反应过来按键呢。
Huh? Who's there?
Daniel decided to go over and take a look.
Oh, 这个就是咱们了吗？出不去。哦，这个风格还挺好的，说实话。哦，这个风格我是有点喜欢的。
It was a mousetrap, and there was a red origami paper
折纸
dragon
龙
inside
啊
of，it.
这个异象体很，呸，什么异象体？这个 SCP 很有名的，龙曾在此。
Daniel carefully removed it. It was marvelous and beautiful. The only problem was part of its wing was damaged. But Daniel found a way to repair it.
"选择道具修复。
Daniel held the repaired paper dragon high up in the air, imagining that it soared over all the world below. He played and played with the paper dragon.
Wee! Woo! Dragon! Soar!
In the warm afternoon sun, Daniel had to fight his eyelids just to keep them open.
看来猜对了，真的是龙曾在此。
Is it? Could it be? Or is this all just a dream?
The next day, with boredom and loneliness weighing him down, he began to fiddle with the old radio.
Our town is located in the plains where earthquakes are not particularly common. Although there are 17 fault zones around us, they are all inactive.
A scrunched up ball of paper rolled over to his feet.
Where did this paper ball come from?
Just as Daniel went to pick it up, the ball suddenly came to life, and it rolled away. Daniel chased after it.
这不能跑啊！这跑不了，就只能别动啊！别！那我逮着你啊，有你好果子吃啊！
Just as he was about to seize the rolling paper ball, suddenly, terrible sparks erupted from it. Before his very eyes, the paper ball began to grow, bigger and bigger. At that moment, a red figure suddenly appeared. The red figure quickly subdued the paper ball and threw it into a cardboard box. Daniel studied the red figure carefully. It had a sticker on its fluttering wing. It was the paper dragon.
I wasn't dreaming. Thank you for saving me.
Daniel was grateful and very happy. He walked closer to the paper dragon, but the paper dragon seemed timid and afraid and backed away. Just then, Daniel had an idea.
又要吹
He took
又要
out
吹
his
了是吧
penny？ whistle and slowly played a tune.
来吧。没摁到吗？ 判定有问题呀！我的妈！
The paper dragon enjoyed the sound very much. It began to move along with the rhythm, flipping up and down in the air. Soon the two were playing and dancing, just like old friends. The paper dragon traced out a beautiful arc in the air, communicating with Daniel in a unique way.
My cherished friend, after many long years, we finally meet again. Tell me, how has your family been? A great thank you for playing that music for me. You know how I love the beautiful rhythm of that instrument. But we ought to take precautions, as the room is not stable. Do you still remember how the room works? You're welcome to visit anytime.
The piece of paper then changed back into the shape of a paper dragon and flew into the cardboard box. The box closed shut, and a calm silence was restored to the attic. Daniel rushed to find a watercolor pen and marked the box with excitement in his fingertips.
Here be dragon. 龙在此处.
Over the next few days, the paper dragon came out often to play with Daniel. During this time, Daniel introduced many of his friends to the paper dragon.
That cat's name is Mrs. Carter. Ever since I secretly fed her some fish for dinner, we've been good friends. That's Duke, Mrs. Jessica's pet. He doesn't like rainy days or Mrs. Carter. Only smoked sausages for his taste. And now, we are friends too. My name is Daniel. What's your name?
The paper dragon flapped its wings, as if it didn't understand him.
Well, since you like the sound of the penny whistle so much, why don't I just call you Penny? I'll keep practicing to make it sound better.
Daniel and Penny then played baseball together in the attic.
Let's play cat.
Oh. But
just as they were in the middle of enjoying themselves, a violent shaking suddenly rose from the ground.
The stubborn earthquake is back at it, folks, and it seems even stronger than last time.
At this moment, the box suddenly shot open, and thick clouds of smoke billowed out, followed by several paper balls. Penny attacked the paper balls without a moment's hesitation and promptly threw them back into the box. Penny then flew around in front of Daniel and rushed right back into the box. As the box closed, the earthquake stopped. Facing a friend's farewell without a formal goodbye, Daniel felt confused and lost. He moved the box to the center of the attic. Facing it, he practiced his penny whistle day in and day out. As the days went by, Daniel's playing became smoother. One day, the box suddenly began to move.
Huh?
1, 2, 3, 4. This time there were 4 paper dragons. But they weren't alone. Enemies began to jump out of the box too.
Earthquake! Another earthquake! This time it's reached a magnitude of 5.8!
In that small attic, the 4 paper dragons fought fiercely against the paper balls. This time, the paper balls used new tactics. They clumped together into a single monstrous ball of paper. It began to shoot strong bursts of electric sparks at the paper dragons as they flew through the air. As they were hit, the paper dragons fell from the air, one after the other. Seeing the injured paper dragons, Daniel felt very distressed and anxious. Just then, one of the paper dragons painfully started to fly and gathered the remainder of its power. The paper dragon transformed into a great beam of light and dove straight down to pierce through the monstrous paper ball. And then came another paper dragon. The monstrous paper ball was blasted to bits, exploding into smaller paper balls. Trembling, they struggled to escape back into the box. The sacrificed paper dragons were reduced to swirling shreds of paper, and a silence pervaded. Peace and tranquility were restored once again to the attic. Daniel saw the remaining 2 paper dragons lying on the floor, badly wounded. He rushed to grab some stickers and treated them at once. Suddenly, countless paper dragons began to gush from the box. The 2 wounded paper dragons were repaired and began to fly. Like 2 colored threads, they merged with the other dragons, flying in unison. The dragons moved like a tide, flying freely through the attic. Daniel eagerly took out his penny whistle. He showed all his paper dragon friends the results of his hard work and practice. In the sweet melody of his playing, Daniel felt himself enter into the world of dragons. The paper dragons merged into a long letter and floated down towards Daniel to tell their story.
After the last war, the fantasy world enjoyed a long spell of peace and stability. But now, the giants have returned. They have launched ferocious attacks, trying to invade your world through the room. We are prepared to launch the final defense. Then we will have to destroy your room, for it is the last remaining entryway into your world. Please believe this farewell will only be temporary. We will not be apart forever, and we will never forget our eternal mission of protecting you.
At that moment, the paper dragons flew back into the box. Daniel still couldn't fully understand what the paper dragons had meant, but he had a vague feeling in his heart that he may never see his new friends again. A few days later, Daniel's chickenpox had fully recovered. He could now play the penny whistle very, very well. But the paper dragons never returned. Maybe it was time to leave and move on.
Earthquake warning! Magnitude 6.2! A massive earthquake is hitting our town! All townspeople, please leave your houses immediately and move to safe open spaces!
Just then, countless paper dragons shot from the cardboard box. However, it seemed like they were under attack, spinning and falling through the air in confusion.
What's happening?
Daniel quickly grabbed the stickers out from his bag and did his best to heal the injured paper dragons.
有些龙咱们是救不了，我只能救带有光标的纸龙的，高贵啊，高贵。还有哪儿是光标的？啊，这儿还有。
Balls swarmed together and pushed Daniel away, subduing him firmly in the corner. He couldn't move. Suddenly, ominous clouds rose from the box, and a violent lightning flashed through the room. The figure of a giant slowly emerged from the thick clouds, and the entire attic became overwhelmed with its evil aura. The giant unleashed its power maniacally, The paper dragons struggled against it, with no means of fighting back. At this critical moment, 2 paper dragons shined brilliantly. Together, they heroically crashed their bodies into the giant. Daniel thought the giant had been defeated by the paper dragons, but soon he found that things would probably not be so simple. The giant's figure could still be seen in the thick smoke, looking evil and terrible. The attacks of the paper dragons had had no effect, and the giant had only grown stronger. It fought back with a new ferocity. The paper dragons were simply no match for it.
The earthquake is going stronger still! The greatest disaster this town has seen in over 100 years! My heavens! Will this nightmare ever end?
With the paper dragons now all but defeated, Daniel spotted a frail figure in the distance. It was Penny. It flew gently in front of Daniel and affectionately rubbed its head against his fingers, as if this whole crisis had never happened. Daniel felt like Penny was trying to tell him something, but he didn't quite understand what. Penny then left Daniel and soared into the air with a determination in its wings. Suddenly, the other paper dragons seemed to be summoned. They flew through the air, all together in unison, responding to the call without an ounce of hesitation. At that moment, Penny turned into a great red beam and rushed fast towards the giant. The other dragons followed, shining together like a shooting star. At that moment, Daniel seemed to see a real dragon flying.
No!
A huge explosion from the impact drowned out everything else in the attic. The attic rained down with countless pieces of paper, the leftover scraps of the paper dragons. Daniel wanted to collect all of the pieces. He thought he could still fix them.
Goodbye, my friend.
The nightmare is over. The earthquake has stopped. With God's mercy, our town is safe. We thank you, Lord, for your protection.
A few days later, the art festival was held as scheduled. Daniel attended the show with his penny whistle.
And now, Daniel Trevor will perform a penny whistle solo of a song titled Fly With Me.
the story ends. Now, you might be wondering, what happened next? Are there still paper dragons in the world? Well, that's a difficult question to answer. But I believe that they are still protecting us somewhere in this world, just like they promised they would, forever, into eternity.
果然是龙曾在此。我来这里已经1个月了，已经完全适应了这里的工作。虽然工作的内容是处理一些档案，但绝不枯燥乏味。除了一些荒诞的笑话，大多数的档案都让人着迷。最近我总是出现一些幻听，好像有什么人在呼唤着我，声音很低沉模糊，似乎要说着什么，我根本不明白。我应该去看一下医生，但佐伊跟我说那只是常见的菜鸟综合症，过几天就好了。但愿如此吧。那么这个意向题也成功的归档了啊，时间也差不多了，就先录到这儿吧。喜欢这期视频的朋友呢，别忘在视频下方点赞一笔，收藏关注。我是大白，咱们下期视频再见，拜拜。